Guess what?
What?
We're done.
All right. Good
We're
night, Perry.
done.
All right. We are done. You're right. Good night. I'm going to say good night.
And I cutting it off.
Hey, wait, hey, wait.
Ciao.
Before you go, when are people going to see us next?
On the next stream.
Which is when?
New
Which is when?
Sunday at 2.
Okay. Subscriber Sunday at 2. We'll see you then. All right. Thanks, Perry.
Hey,
You rallied, you, by the way. You rallied. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
and round in the ass. Well, hey,
Yeah? What's up?
are we by ourselves talking or no?
You're not on the screen anymore, no.
Okay, good. When are we gonna set up the new tripods?
Let's try to do it tomorrow, okay? I've been putting out. It's a little more complicated because you got to install an app. Let's do it tomorrow. I'll call you during the afternoon.
I gotta install an app on my phone or on my
Yeah,
on the
but
tripod.
I'll walk you through it because I'll set it. I just haven't had the time. I've had a you know what I have going on. So we'll do it tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Good night, pal. Thanks. Good job tonight.
Good night.
You redeemed
Yeah,
yourself at the
bye.
end. I appreciate that.
Um,
All right. Good night. Bye. Thanks, guys. I always get a little worried when he says, is it just me and you? You never know what he's going to say. He's getting in that hot tub, by the way. Mark my words. You know, it's funny, fast, but I'm wearing this shirt that I thought I lost. I found it in a box of like clothes and stuff. It's like this old. It's from this pub called Brennan's. I have a couple of these. I used to collect shirts. There's so many pubs and bars around the world that are called Brennan's. So I had this running joke with my friends. I said, hey, if you ever come across, a bar called Brennan's or Brennan's anything, even if it's a restaurant, some kind of Irish themed, whatever, donkey bar or something, to send me the shirt. So I had a couple. I have one from California that's literally falling apart. It has holes in it. But I found this one from, I think it's from Galway, Ireland. And it's Brennan's Irish pub. So I'm wearing that. And it's usually like my wear to bed shirt, but I just put it on early, and then I'm wearing gray shorts. Nothing too exciting, but that's what I'm wearing. TomB, would I rather spend the night at Perry's apartment or have Perry spend the night at my apartment? Well, I don't have the apartment anymore. I have a house. I have, honestly, I don't have any problem Perry coming here. Perry will be coming here at some point, maybe sometime this fall. Perry's going to come to New York. Hopefully, when I have the new office set up, and I guess we'll both do the stream together. It'll be a slightly different dynamic. But yeah, Perry's going to stay the night. I would not spend the night at Perry's under any circumstances. But I don't have a problem with him spending the night here. I'm more than happy to have him as a guest. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I think he would be a fine house guest. I've heard from other people that he's an okay house guest. Phantom Green says, imagine getting paid $100 to sit by the pool and talk, and then you get asked to get in the hot tub and you say, I have no need. I know. I know not everybody's into a hot tub, but I would love to have a hot tub. Just like, it's such a it really is such a nice thing. Irish are drunks, according to Perry. I know. How many slams did the Irish get tonight? it was crazy. Faster Blade met Alan Alda at Brennan's Pub in Palm Springs in 78. At least that's feasible. You can picture Alan Alda in Palm Springs in 1978. Mini event at Tom's place. Yeah, we can maybe do that. Maybe do. If Perry's coming to New York, we would have to do some kind of like New York meetup for sure. You know, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't say it would be like an official event or something like that. But yeah, we'll do a meetup, maybe like a dinner or something like that. Hang out. You know, I know. Oh, I don't drink or whatever, but we're gonna go out for drinks or something like that. I'll take him around to. I'll take him around New York. Maybe we'll get a hotel one of the nights, separate rooms, of course. S2 Cut says, "Hey Tom, watching you with our little mongoloid, can't help but think you'd make a great father." I don't know where you're going with that. If that's an insult, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not worded properly. It doesn't have any punch, as Perry would say. Did I get any good scotch? No, I still have some left over. Like I said, I don't know if I've mentioned this a few times, but I'm on a drinking kind of break. And by the way, I don't drink scotch regularly. I don't. I'll do it. That's the kind of thing I'll break out if company's over and we'll do some nice glasses. I have a really nice bottle of tequila, like a very expensive bottle of tequila, that I did break out a few weeks ago. I had some friends over, and it's like really, really nice tequila, like smooth, and it was great. So I had that. Like that was the last thing I had recently. Astral Bunny will fly to NYC. Cool. Well, we'll make it. I'll make it worth your while. I don't have a pool though. Chaz says you could always hang at your place. Yeah, man. By the way, Chaz, not to blow up his spot, Chaz has a beautiful little compound upstate New York. I think we will eventually have something up there because it's just so perfect. Oh, sorry, Two Cuts. Tom, I was complimenting your endless patience. I didn't know that was right in the line. I didn't know if it was a compliment or an insult, like you were insulting me or Perry. I I do get that saying that from a lot of parents saying that manage the way I deal with Perry is the way they deal with their toddlers. So I do get that a lot. So thanks for that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I made it. You know, I couldn't tell. Somebody, it's funny. Somebody sent me a message. Oh God, what was it, like 2 weeks ago or so? It was one of those weird things. It was like filtered in my Twitter, and it was like some weird guy. I don't know if it's the same guy that always hits me up or a new guy, whatever. And he was just like calling me a mongoloid or something like that. He used the same terminology, so I didn't know if that was the same thing. So, anyway, thank you for the compliment. Okay, cool. Chad says he's got pics on Facebook, so I guess he's not shy about it. I don't want to be like Perry and blow up somebody's spot. Perry has a way of Perry, let's not talk about this on the stream, but XYZ, I have to do this, that, and that. No, don't worry, that's just between you and me. I won't mention it. And then on the stream, folks, TomB's got this thing going on, and I'm just like, oh my God, can't tell this guy anything. Yeah, I'll do a hot tub tiki bar soon. I'd love to get a hot tub. I do want to get a hot tub at some point. But, there's like a couple of things that there's global shortages on right now. And I know this just from being a new homeowner. Dryers. There's a worldwide shortage on dryers. I have a washer. I don't have a dryer right now. It's like back ordered into infinity. And hot tubs. Hot tubs are also a global shortage. I think part of it because so many people were buying them up last year during the pandemic because they weren't able to go on vacation, and a lot of people who wouldn't normally get a hot tub were getting them because I can't go to like a fancy place, so maybe I'll make my fancy place I'll make my home a little fancier and get a hot tub. So like I did look into hot tubs a little bit, and again, just to look, I cannot I can't afford the expense of a hot tub right now, but if I wanted one, the earliest availability is next April 2022. They say possibly earlier, but insane. There's a couple other things too. Am I getting a scrotum lift? Maybe. Maybe I am. Maybe it needs a little nip and tuck. Maybe that's what it is, and I just don't want to get into it. It's possible. Possible. Hotels are gross. I imagine people effing on the bed. I know what you mean. You got to get over that. I would. My usual move in a hotel is I get rid of the comforter right away. I put that on the floor because that doesn't get washed as often. But I will say, over the past year, um, hotels have gotten a lot better because they're way more stringent on cleaning. With COVID and everything. So hotels are a little less gross these days. Tattoo removal. Oh, we'll buy. You'll buy me a hot tub. Great. I that'll be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a big fan of using a hot tub in winter. That would be year round. I mean, there's ways to save money, so you're not spending a ton, like crazy money. But they have covers. They'll keep it warm, and yeah, I like. Uh, I had this hotel once in Seattle, and I was there in like February, and they had an outdoor pool and hot tub that was open year round. The pool was heated, and it was cold out, and sitting in the hot tub, it was one of those things where if you could, again, it doesn't apply to like people in warm weather climates, but if you're northern hemisphere people and you do get actual winters, I think if you can have a hot tub and go in a hot tub when it's cold out, I think you're kind of winning at life. Don't worry about it. It doesn't, Don. By the way, I get very little shit. I do. It sucks that you're getting shit on Twitter. Some trolls online don't like Perry because he makes money, and a lot of the scene revolves around messing with YouTubers much worse shape than Perry for free with no direction. Yeah, I get it. It's just it's so rare. It's so rare, and I try to have a very thick skin about it. I don't. I don't. I yeah. It's fine. I mean, nobody likes being shit talked or whatever, but you know, when you put yourself out there, you're gonna get that, no matter what. Ooh, it's a good call. I would love to take Perry to the Mount Airy Lodge in the champagne uh, glass tub. That would be great. There are these. For those who don't know, there's there's still some around. A lot of them are abandoned, but they had these like romantic getaways and like the Poconos, and they were all really tacky. And like one of them was the Mount Airy Lodge, which ran commercials, probably the same commercial for about 20 years, in the New York area. And one of their gimmicks was they had a hot tub that is shaped like a clear champagne glass. Yeah, Dusty, I agree with you. I'd love to be in a hot tub in Alaska, or like a natural hot spring or something. Hey, Tracy Elliott is in the house. Welcome back, Tracy. How are you, Tracy? Did you miss? By the way, Tracy, did you just wake up? Did you miss the stream? Tracy was gonna try to stay up to watch the stream, but I guess she missed it. It's nice to see. I was looking for you tonight. It's nice to see you. Yeah, like in Dumb and Dumber, exactly. Is the Q motor in still there? The Queens. I don't think it is. I think it's called. I think it's the building still there. I think it's called something else. The Queens motor in. It was one that's one of those. The Q motor in was on the side of the Long Island Expressway in Queens, and it was a place you either went to get drugs or to meet a prostitute. The kind of place that Perry would, when he was driving, prostitutes would probably be there all the time. Not that I would know, of course. I just know that secondhand, mind you. I just, well, I figured, yeah. Look, it's late for you. Like this. I think the stream starts in Denmark. Is fuck, Denmark is where you are. What does it start at, like 2 a.m., 3 in the morning for you or something like that? It's crazy. How many people here are from outside of North America? Outside of North America, how many people, like regular PCL people? That's a good call. Phantom Green says if you fall asleep while watching the stream, you can usually look at Perry's physical condition slash outfit status and attitude to make a good guesstimate on the passage of time. Yeah. Oh, it's 8:30 in the morning there. Okay. Well, you should be able to handle Sunday because it starts at 2 p.m. Brazil, great. Melbourne, Australia. You know, it's funny. I know I'm not saying that right. Melbourne, Australia. Because I was looking up the stats of like where the audience comes from, and Australia is huge. Australia is like right after North America, and out of all the cities, Melbourne was number one. Just an interesting Australia stat. Bunk says, I'm outside NA, Korea. Wow. Faster Blade, go for it if you want to destroy those sunglasses. I kind of loved the offer to put the sunglasses in, in the garbage disposal. you know. Yeah, I like that. So go for it. Yeah. I mean, if he gets paid enough. Melbourne. Yeah, I know there's a way to say it. I just wasn't pronouncing it right. Right, Dusty. Australia is huge. Australia is like the size of North America, but a large part of the country is uninhabitable. And a friend of mine went to Australia a number of years ago because he lives in New Zealand now, but he was desperate to get out of New York. Anyway, so he loved Australia, and he actually overstayed his visa. Ended up getting kicked out, but he hates to fly, so he took the train from one end of Australia to the other. And he was telling me, he was like showing me pictures and video that he took on the train ride of just all the stuff that's in between, like mainland Australia, just desolate, middle of nowhere places. I found it fascinating. I never really knew that, but like how Australia is, it's more coastal, right? Like there's all these cities and stuff around the coastline of the continent, but not a lot in the middle. Netherlands, I'm sorry. Netherlands, yes, I knew you were in the Netherlands. I think I got Dutch and Denmark in my brain. It's late. Netherlands. Tracy's from the Netherlands. Stream starts at 3 a.m. for Tracy. I tried to stay awake, but peaked early on the martini. I was nervous as hell. Drunk 2 bottles of tea. Okay, well, hey, Tracy, here's to you. If I was drinking at the moment, I would raise the glass, but I'm not. Chance says, Australia has provided us with the greatest actor ever, Yahoo Serious. I'll never forget the promotion of that movie, Young Einstein, in like the summer of '89. I was a kid, and if you ever went to see Batman in the theater, Tim Burton's Batman, you were inundated with the trailer for Young Einstein right before the movie played, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. Dutch is not. I know Dutch is Netherlands. I know. I'm not an ignoramus. I know. I just had I had something locked in my brain. Mission failed. Chaz sent me something. He said, "Try not to laugh." I could not help but laugh. 89 was a great year. I love 89. I love the summer of 89. I had a great time in the summer of 89. A lot of great movies in 89. I never saw it. I never saw Young Einstein. By the way, Weekend at Bernie's came out this summer of '89. Perry's gonna have to watch that. I couldn't believe he couldn't think of the number one thing that happened. What's Even if you haven't seen Weekend at Bernie's, you know the plot. What is Bernie? Bernie dies like what 20 minutes into it. Why am I confusing Yahoo Serious with the guy from Drop Dead Fred? Similar looking. I think the hair was crazy, but yeah, completely different. Completely different guy. Completely different guy. I don't know. I forget who the guy in. Wow. Good to have you, Tracy. We've got a really cool community, so you have a home here. Does a new Batman movie interest me? No, it's got bad news written all over it. No, it doesn't interest me at all. In fact, uh, I mean, there's a possibility I won't see it at all. I don't think Robert Pattinson is a good call, is a good casting decision for Bruce Wayne slash Batman. He doesn't have the physique for it. I don't think he has the look for it, and there's so many bad reports about that. What are they calling it? The Batman or something? There's so many reports from that set that say it's just a disaster written all over it. Like Pattinson refused to go to the gym. He refused to like get into like really buff shape. I mean, you're getting paid that kind of money. He's like he refused to get into like insane shape, like every other actor that played Batman has. So yeah, it's just it's got a lot of bad news, and I know, but Colin Farrell is the Penguin, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I'd love to be pleasantly surprised, but I just don't think I think it's gonna be a long time before DC gets its act together in terms of making good movies. With their properties, it just doesn't. They just drop the ball time and time again. They got lucky with the Nolan Batman movies, but that's a separate thing. Everything outside of that has been a disaster, apart from the first two Christopher Reeve Superman movies. So yeah. So anyway, no, Batman looks terrible. I don't even know when it's supposed to come out. Yeah, Chris Pratt. I don't see Chris Pratt as maybe. I don't know. I don't know if Chris Pratt. You got to be a good actor because you got to keep in mind you got to pull off Bruce Wayne. Pulling off Bruce Wayne is more important than pulling off Batman, and I don't know if Chris Pratt has the chops to pull off Bruce Wayne. He's got the physique. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know out of like today's pool of actors who would be a good Bruce Wayne, but man, Robert Pattinson is not it. Just not it. What was my commission from Colin's role as the Penguin? Well, Colin kind of told me to go F myself once we started doing PCL, so I'm sure I don't think I'll be seeing any paychecks for that. Perry would make a better Joker. Well, he's got the laugh for it. He does that great Joker's laugh. I can understand why people say they hated Nolan Batman movies. I liked them, but I will say the first one's the best. Batman Begins is better than the other two. The other two are a little too exhausting, and the problem with Nolan overall is he kitchen sinks every concept he has to the point where he exhausts the audience, and I felt exhausted in both those movies that followed Batman Begins. Batman Begins was kind of fun, and I liked it. I liked where the universe was going. But you gotta those are three self-contained movies in like that Nolan verse of Batman, and you gotta take it like that. But I understand people. There are people that say they don't like it. I didn't like the. In retrospect, I don't love Tim Burton Batman, but I just don't think it's aged as well. And if the Batman is supposed to be young Batman, it's just I don't know. It's like how young can you go with Batman, you know? And how many times you want to see that origin story again? Pattinson is good in The Lighthouse. Those are his types of films. Yes, I'll agree with that. He is good in that movie. Even though that movie's a little too artsy for me, I liked it, but it's a little too avant-garde for me. But he was good in that, and he's a good actor. I'm not shitting on Robert Pattinson because he was in Twilight or whatever. I think he's a good actor. I even think he was good in Tenet last year, even though I didn't like the movie overall. I thought he was good. He's a good actor. He's just not good for Batman. He's terrible. It's a terrible casting choice. And that's the thing. Like Omega Cloud says, Batman and Bruce Wayne are completely different. You need to play two characters, right? And honestly, I know a lot of people say this, but it's really true. To me, the best Batman is Kevin Conroy, the guy who did the voice for Batman the Animated Series, because through voice acting, he did a completely different Bruce Wayne than he did Batman. And he had distinctive voices for both. And no film actor who plays Batman has ever been able to nail that. Christian Bale actually got a lot of shit for his Batman voice, which was always rough. It wasn't good. Just wasn't good. But his Bruce Wayne was fine. Michael Keaton, kind of the same way. And I mean, who else played? I mean, I don't. Val Kilmer was okay actually as Batman. The movie's terrible, but Val Kilmer was actually pretty good. And I don't remember Clooney at all. I can barely count that, but it's a good point. You got to be really you got to be distinctive in both people. It's like playing two separate characters. Yeah, Chomsky said, I'm sick of seeing Bruce Wayne's parents die. Yes, we know. I think that's what made Spider-Man Homecoming good. And I didn't like the follow-up film, but it's like they skipped over the art. We don't need to see Peter Parker be bitten by the spider. We know. Let's just get into it. We don't need to see the origin story. That's a good question, Fastway. I don't know where the new Batman is set. If it's in the 50s, that's news to me, but I don't know. Yeah, Joey says, all right. With Spider-Man movies, there's like 3 or 4 reboots. Let's just skip Origins. We know. You can film the Origin thing, like do 20 minutes of like a mini movie Origin and include it like on the Blu-ray or something like that as a bonus feature. Like here's the origin story if you want to see it. It doesn't have to be incorporated into the main film. Doesn't Done says Tenet was the worst movie ever made. Ed Wood wouldn't have fucked that with 150 mil. It's hard to disagree. I saw it last year when like movie theaters were opening up. They weren't open here in New York. I happened to be in Connecticut, and I had time to kill last September, and it was kind of a novelty that theaters were opened again, at least there. So I saw Tenet, and I was very disappointed because I really like Christopher Nolan. I'd say he's my second favorite working director. But that movie is it's all the worst Nolan indulgences in one movie. It's just really it's just not good. And the lead guy, the protagonist, I think that his name is even credited as protagonist. They don't even give you his name, which is stupid. Doesn't do a good enough job to lead you. You need a really dynamic actor and also a better written character to help lead you through that film that's so convoluted and confusing. And to the point, like I remember like coming out of it and I was like, oh, maybe there's a YouTube video that'll explain that movie a little bit, because I didn't know how I felt about it. And then I got home and I started watching a YouTube video, and I was like, you know what, I don't care. I don't even care enough to have it explained to me. That's how much I didn't care about that movie, and it's one of those movies I'll never see it again. I don't know. It's just nonsense. It's just Nolan's self indulgence, getting a little too carried away, and also the fact that he pushed for that movie to come out after the pandemic, like this was going to be the movie to bring people in there. I felt uncomfortable in that movie. It was so, it's so manipulative, like the music and by the way, the soundtrack's awful. He usually has Hans Zimmer doing the soundtrack. I don't think Hans Zimmer was available. He got some other guy. It was just noisy, and I didn't feel good. It wasn't a fun experience. Like if you want to open up theaters again, you want a fun movie like Top Gun. The Top Gun sequel, Maverick. Like that's a good movie to bring back people. Not fucking Tenet. But yeah, not good. Bale's Batman voice was affected. Affleck preferred. Yeah, Ben Affleck wasn't bad as Batman. He wasn't as bad as I thought. He was okay as an older Batman. I still have to see the what do you call it, the re-edited Justice League by what's his face. I can't think of his name. The director. Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, I still have to see that, but I don't think theaters are dead. I think they can come back. I think they can come back. I love the movie theater experience. I do. I haven't been to a movie theater in a long time because there's just been nothing to see. But there's something special about a theater experience. Just like going to a concert. I went to a concert last night for the first time in almost 2 years, and it was great. You forget how it is. Yes, my first favorite director is Tarantino by far. I just tuned back in. Did I end up watching No, I didn't end up watching the Val Kilmer documentary. Maybe tomorrow. I'm a little Snyder. Yeah, Zack Snyder, the Snyder cut. I haven't seen it yet. I will when if I ever get this media room sorted out. That'll be one of the first movies I watch. How much of the Val Kilmer documentary is it like him modern day talking with the with the throat, with the voice box thing? Is that thing really freaked me out in the trailer, and I don't want to see him like that, but I am curious to see it, and if anybody's seeing it, anybody has seen the Val Kilmer documentary, let me know how it is. I haven't heard any feedback of it. Mr. SFA, I went to see Guns N' Roses last night at MetLife Stadium. I think I talked about it a little bit on Wednesday that a friend of mine had offered. He just said, "Hey, I didn't even know they were playing. I had no idea. Guns N' Roses are playing tomorrow night. Do you want to go?" He had never seen them before. I had seen them twice in the early '90s, and it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I was so glad I went. Can't recommend it high enough. If you even know 3 Guns N' Roses songs and you're not a fan, and they're playing by you, they charge an extortionate amount of money for tickets. But if you the day of the show, yesterday, I was scouting out. I had like screens open. I was doing my work, and I had StubHub open, TickPick open. I was monitoring prices all day. It felt like I was watching the stock market. I was watching the prices drop, and then my friend came over and we were ready to go. I said, I haven't bought any tickets yet, but maybe I'll buy some on the way. Because we both agreed that we were looking to spend at most $200 a ticket, and even that was a little high. But these tickets are crazy, like really high. And he said, "Did you try Ticketmaster?" I said, "No, I'm not gonna try Ticketmaster." He goes, "Oh, well, they have that fluctuate. They do this thing now. I forget what they call it. Ticketmaster does this thing. It's kind of like airlines do, or hotels where they do like a fluctuated pricing for premium events, where the prices will go up and down based on demand." And I looked on Ticketmaster and I saw the map, and I was like, okay, right to the side of the stage, section 1, the 100 section, sides of the stage. And pretty good, maybe like 12 rows back on like that first level up, there were like 2 tickets for like, God, what was it, like $70 each. So that it came to under $200 for both tickets with Ticketmaster fees, and then it was $40 for parking. Anyway, it was good. Odd says he passed. I almost passed on GNR, and I'm with you. I wouldn't say I'm the huge. I liked them when I was a kid when they first came out. I wouldn't say I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan, but they were phenomenal. Really phenomenal. I was blown away how good they were. I thought Axl Rose would be a mess. I thought his voice would be terrible. I thought he would look. He looked great. He sounded great. Didn't mail in anything. Belted out every song. Slash looked great. Slash looks the same, by the way. Amazing, amazing. Sounded, looked great. I'll tell you the other thing that I was impressed by is the screens that they had. The technology of seeing when you go to a concert and they show like the big screens at the side of the stage. I mean, they would always look somewhat pixelated or like blown up. This looked crisp and clear, and even if you were a little, I had a hard time focusing on the stage because I was close enough where I could see them on the stage, but your eyes are drawn to the monitors at the side because they're so big and they give you such great close-ups. But I didn't want to like watch it on screens. I wanted to watch the stage. It was just pretty distracting. But I tried to like, I didn't take too many pictures or video because I wanted to be in the moment. It was kind of crazy to be there with all these people. A huge, huge football stadium. I haven't been around that many people, and since pre-pandemic. So it was crazy. But crazy in a good way. Not crazy in a bad way at all. So I just took it in, and it was great. It was a young crowd too. I was really surprised how young the crowd was. Like teenage, above, 20s, 30s, 40s. There were older people too, but it was great. It was packed. The place was packed. It was good. It was a good time. So really, and I knew 90% of the songs, 95. There's a couple of songs they did off, I guess, Chinese Democracy, which is the album they put out in 2008 that didn't have Slash. I don't know any of those songs, but they played most of Appetite for Destruction, which is what you're really going for. A couple of songs they didn't play that I was bummed they didn't play. No My Michelle, and there was one other one that I wanted to hear and they didn't play. But look, I can't say anything bad. I got a great deal. If they come to your town, I would say see them. They were that good. I mean, to the point where I want to play Appetite for Destruction again. And I remember listening to that album when it first came out and hearing like dirty words in music like blew my mind. Like it really, I couldn't believe it. It was like, oh my God, they said the F word in a song. And there were two things I listened to that summer. It was Dice's first album and Guns N' Roses, and I would listen in my Walkman like going to school or something like that, or in the backseat of my parents' car, and I would feel like I was getting away with something listening to that. It's just. But Appetite for Destruction is one of the all-time greatest albums, and if it's not on a list, if it comes out, especially through the '80s, it's just And I agree. I would have liked to have seen Izzy Stradlin play. That would be good. But what are you gonna do? You're not gonna. I don't think he's. I think he's popped in every now and again. Cornshuckers Peak, Greasy GNR. I had so many bootlegs when I was in high school of GNR, like all their early gigs and all those early songs and stuff. But it was a great time. Really great time. Really glad I went. And Ronnie says Tenet is awesome. I guess there are people that like Tenet. I'm not one of them. I did not like it. My chat's a little backed up. Chad says loves it. Yeah, Inception is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. First of all, I love Leonardo DiCaprio. He's one of my favorite actors, and I loved Inception. Inception's great score. Johnny Marr did the score with Hans Zimmer. It's fantastic. Loved Inception. Mike Rodriguez says, I saw The Dark Knight Rises in Hawaii while killing time before a flight. Right time, right place, I guess. I really liked it at the time. But I was also exhausted a week after being a son. Yeah, that movie took a lot out of me. I liked The Dark Knight Rises, but I'm not saying it's not a bad movie. It's not by any means. It's just a lot. I don't think you needed Two-Face in the movie. It was just like, oh my God, you're adding something else now. It's like Nolan just assaults the senses to the point where I like tap out. I saw. By the way, yeah, Dozen Done says I was a big Nolan fan going back to Memento. Me too. I saw Memento in the theater when it first came out. I was locked into Christopher Nolan very early. Yeah, that's a good. People can explain Inception. No one can explain Tenet. That's the sentence right there. That tells you everything. You're exactly right. You now Inception can go over some people's heads because it's like it's out, but it's explainable, and if you see it more than once, it rewards. Rewards you from second and third viewings, but I can't imagine Tenet being that way. I liked Interstellar and Prestige too, but not as much. I liked what was the other one? Dunkirk. I really liked. I don't know what else. Am I missing a big movie? Mumbles. Last thing I saw in the theater was Joker. Yeah, and I think Joker's overrated, tremendously overrated. It was okay, but I can't get over how people like went gaga for that movie. Chomsky, yes, Guns N' Roses played Mr. Brownstone. They open with "It's So Easy," which is a great opener. I think they've always opened with it, with rare exception. Even when I saw them like 91, 92, they opened with that, and then they go right into Mr. Brownstone. And it's a good set. I left the concert. I know Paradise City is their last song forever. So as soon as that started playing, I said to my friend, "Okay, let's head out." But I stayed for like a minute and 20 seconds of the song, and then we just bolted. And right move, because we made it. We made it out of the parking lot without incident, and we were cruising. It was like Jesus, from MetLife to my house door to door, it was like 42 minutes coming back. Getting there was a nightmare. Getting there took forever. Ben Benson, there's a lot of Guns N' Roses material that has leaked from the early 2000s, but would have worked back then. Axl has waited around too long, and now the newer stuff is too dated. Yeah, and also if Slash wasn't involved and like the main band, I don't really care. I don't really care. But if like they actually come out with like new material that's like this current incarnation, I might be interested in. They played Mumble. So Mumble said they didn't play any Chinese Democracy. They played because I looked at the set list today, and so they played the song Chinese Democracy. And I think one other song, but I didn't know. You can't really complain. They give you pretty much everything. And like I said, there's a couple of songs I would have liked to have heard, but you get all the heavy hitters without question. Not a fan, but you got to look up the recent Limp Bizkit footage to see gray-haired Fred Durst in grandpa clothes performing rap metal. Oh my god, that sounds horrible. I agree with this statement. Memento and Inception get ideas across better than Tenet. Yeah, I just Tenet. Yeah, I don't know. It's not even like I don't. I just can't ever see myself giving that movie another chance. Oh, I never saw Insomnia, the Nolan movie. I never saw. I think I don't think it was necessarily a Nolan movie. I think he was more of a hired gun on that, but I never saw it. Yeah, Chaz, I don't love Joker. I liked it. I just think it's derivative of better films, and overrated, tremendously overrated. Oh, Tracy, I saw in 1917. I saw that in the theater when it came out. I loved 1917. Yeah, about the First World. Great, great film. Loved it. And by the way, me saying I didn't like Joker, I don't think Joker's a bad movie. I just think it's overrated. Data Nate Pro Move. Know the set list. Yeah, I actually was looking up the set list from the night before at the concert just to see where it was going, and I knew, look, as much as I enjoyed the show, I enjoyed getting the hell out of there early more. So, and you could still hear it. You could hear the song, like even as we were going down the ramp and out the door. You could hear the song going on from the distance. That's the one thing about a big stadium show is the sound quality is not perfect. It's not an ideal concert venue. It's not an amphitheater or a theater of any kind. So you're gonna deal with that. But like the vocals weren't always crisp in terms of the mixing and the sound quality. But it was fine. You could hear it walking away, getting to the car. And then I think literally I had the windows down, and as I was at the gate to drive out of the place, you could hear actually like, "Thank you, good night," and I was like, "Oh, perfect timing," because I was gonna be bummed, like, "Oh, this will be the one night where they do the extra song and or something like that." But nope, I was right on the money. Yeah, Insomnia is with Robin Williams and Al Pacino, right? Yeah, I just never saw it. Yeah, I agree with Chomsky. King of Comedy's better than Joker. Like that's the thing. Like Joker gets all this credit for, but it's just Taxi Driver meets King of Comedy, really. Especially I watched Naked Gun last night. So funny. Yeah, Naked Gun does hold up. I always like the T. There's a TV. I don't know if it would ever made it to like a home video, but there's a TV version of Naked Gun that has about three extra scenes. I don't know if they're on you. Would have to be on YouTube. That are really funny, like extra bits that. It's fun. Comedies would do this thing. I don't know if they still do it, because comedies usually have a certain length. Let's say, a comedy's 88 minutes or whatever. Most comedies are 90 minutes or shorter. And when they go to TV and they pad it with commercials, sometimes they don't have enough room to make it to 2 hours or over. So the studio provides them with extra scenes that they put into the movie. A lot of movies have that, and Naked Gun has a couple of extra gags that are really funny. I can't remember them off the top of my head. There was one of them with that really tall guy. I forget the guy whose head is off screen all the time. But yeah. Tom, have you ever seen a Springsteen show in Jersey? No, I haven't. I would say, if you would ask me that question 10 years ago, I'd say I wouldn't do it. But at this point, I would. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Springsteen fan, but I have a good friend who is. Actually, the friend of mine who I went last night, and we were actually talking about that. We were talking about who's left to see. That's a big deal to you, or like who you should see. And I said, I'm not the biggest Springsteen fan, but I should probably see it one time in my life, just to say that I did, and to have the opportunity to go. And Rolling Stones is the next one that's, geez, I remember thinking like years ago, like 97 maybe, whatever tour that was. I remember a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you want to go see Rolling Stones?" And you're young and stupid, and I was like, they're too old now. And that was 97. But I'd love to see them now, but the last time they played here, it was just too expensive. I couldn't and I was even monitoring like ticket sites the day of. There were no deals to be had. It was it just priced me out. I couldn't do it. But I would love to see them at some point. Logan Project, do I like Kurosawa films? Yes, big time. Yes, I recommend Kurosawa. It's some better than others, but yes, big Kurosawa fan. Love. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine recently about Kurosawa, and like he had never seen. We were going through some Kurosawa movies, and we agreed like one of these days we're gonna do like a Kurosawa double feature or something. Chaz says he fell asleep during Insomnia in theaters. Well, there you go. Is that for real, Faster Play? Because I can't even tell if that's a joke or not. A Naked Gun reboot by Seth MacFarlane with Liam Neeson. I'm sure that's a joke, but I could probably see that happening, and that's awful. Liam Neeson. The thing that strikes me as that's clearly not true is Liam Neeson's such a terrible comedian. Whenever Liam Neeson attempts to be funny in any way, he can't do it. He's like a robot. And I like Liam Neeson. He's a good actor, but he can't play warmth very well. Yeah, I know. You better hurry up and see the Rolling Stones. They're not getting any younger. I know. I feel like they're going to play again eventually, and I should just suck it up and bite the bullet and go, and pay the. I mean, Jesus, even shitty seats were like, I want to say $500, but, and I should say also, I'm not settling for nosebleed seats. I'm not sitting in the 400 section. So if I'm going to make the effort to go to a concert like that, I do have to be somewhat in a decent seat. Like last night. Last night I was fine where, side of the stage, about 10, 12 rows back, perfect. And I got a deal on those, obviously. But I can't I can't go to the Rolling Stones and be in the nosebleeds and barely, and look at the screens or whatever. I can't do it. So I got to be somewhat of a snob about where I sit. It's like a battle. It's like I want to have a good seat, but I don't want to pay that insane premium. Is it true? Fuck me. Fuck. Naked Gun with... That's going to be terrible. That's going to be terrible. How can you have Naked Gun without, Leslie Nielsen? It's just... It's crazy. You know what's sad? It's like all those movies that came out with Leslie Nielsen in the 90s that were like... they were trying to do with like the Zucker Abrams, the Naked Gun template, but with just untalented people like writers. Like there was that Spy Hard movie, and there was the Wrongfully Accused, which is like the fugitive thing, and it's like they'd have Liam Neeson on the poster, and he's acting like Liam Neeson, but the beauty of Naked Gun is not Liam Neeson acting goofy like a confused old man. Liam Neeson's playing it straight, and it's funny to us to see Liam Neeson play it straight, and the writing was set up that way because if you look at Liam Neeson prior to Airplane, he was a straight guy in tons of TV episodes, and he was the captain in Poseidon Adventure. He always played the straight guy, and what was great about Liam Neeson, Leslie Nielsen, is that he didn't necessarily get the humor all the time. It was written for him to play it straight, but it plays to us as funny. And then those other movies were just making him goofy and kind of in on the joke, and like he was like basically like Mr. Magoo. I think he did play Mr. Magoo at some point, which is crazy, but just it didn't work. So I don't see how that could work. I really don't. Oh, you linked the article on Facebook? Fuck me. That is crazy. Wow. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Liam Neeson is excited. And Seth MacFarlane's... Ugh, and Seth MacFarlane... Ugh, that's just depressing. That's just really depressing. I'm not a Seth MacFarlane fan either. God. Hopefully they bring OJ back. Oh, that's the thing that I think I talked about that one time too. Like, OJ Simpson is legit good in those movies. He's really good in that first Naked Gun movie, and it's just weird to watch him now. But he's still funny. Like the opening scene of Naked Gun, which OJ pretty much carries, is hilarious. He's so good in it, and he gets. I don't think he's as good in 2 or 3, just because I don't think they knew what to do. They knew what to do with him in 2 and 3 because it worked when he was kind of out of commission through most of the first movie. But he was really good. He was so talented. God, fuck the Naked Gun. I just don't see how you're rebooting that, and it's just what are they gonna do? Everything is so good about that first movie. Ricardo Montalban is great too. Everybody's great in those movies. Just God, I can't imagine. That ruins my night. Ooh, God, that's so terrible. Yeah, they wanted Frank Drebin in all the movies that weren't Naked Gun, but they didn't have the talent to write the way the Naked Gun movies were written. It didn't work. I remember seeing Spy Hard in the theater, and it was just, and at the time, even going into it, I knew that this was going to be very like B, C, D level Naked Gun, but it's just brutal. There's no funny moments in it. OJ's in the PCL Facebook. Let's ask him if he'd be in the remake. I mean, it's just got bad. It's just got bad news written all over it. Like, why? I mean, how bereft of creativity are you that you um, have to just go back to the well and see what you can remake rather than what you can just make from scratch? Who's seen Police Squad? I have. I've seen all the Police Squads. The thing that I find interesting in Police Squad is how they recycled a lot of the really good gags in Police Squad are kind of recycled in Naked Gun, but still great, really good. I mean, there's only what is there 6 episodes of Police Squad? It's one of those like ahead of its time things that just didn't work. But yeah, the my favorite line from the Police Squad is, and Leslie Nielsen is Frank Drebin in it. It's great because the first movie says from the files of Police Squad, which I never got as a kid. I didn't know there was a series until much later. But Frank Drebin is breaking into this guy's office, and he's undercover, and the guy behind the desk asks him, he's like, "Who are you, and how did you get in here?" And deadpan delivery, Leslie Nielsen goes, "I'm a locksmith, and I'm a locksmith." It just made me. I just remember seeing that for the first time. I rewound it like 3 times because I thought it was so fucking funny, so stupid but so funny. And there's so many moments like that, and you realize the time it came out. Like, what is it, like 1984? That show came out or something like that. 83, 84. It just had to be. And you look at what else was on TV at the time. There's no way that could come. Most people are gonna get that. You know what movie I love that nobody talks about? Loaded Weapon 1. I never saw Loaded Weapon 1. I know the movie. What put me off to it is didn't Emilio Estevez star in that? I thought it was like a Emilio Estevez's ripoff of Hot Shots, and I like Hot Shots Part 1 and 2. I thought are really good. But if you guys say Loaded Weapon 1 is good, maybe I'll check it out. I never saw it. Yeah, and Taken 3 was horrible. I agree. The only Taken 1 is good. Taken 1 is good, but of course, I don't begrudge them for trying to milk that series. But yeah, Taken 3. Ooh, I saw that in the theater. There was a period of time where I was into all of the badass Leslie Nielsen post-Taken movies, until I got to a certain point where I was like, okay, these are just really bad. Why am I wasting my time with them? Who else was in Loaded Weapon? I know it was like that. Obviously, it's a spoof of like what cop movies like Lethal Weapon, but I don't know anything. That's all I know about it. I remember seeing a commercial for it. That's as much as I know about it. Yeah, Chaz, I'm with you. I like all those comedies too, like Ski School, and I like any of those movies where a bunch of like crazy people are in some kind of academy of some kind. Like, we talk about police academy endlessly. Police academy, even like moving violations was another one. Yeah, ski school. There's so up the academy is one. There was that template of all those movies that I think lasted well into the 90s. Leslie Nielsen posted, Liam Neeson, of course. I don't mean Leslie Nielsen and Taken would be great. Yeah, I like that movie where Leslie Nielsen fights the wolves in the wilderness. Is Samuel L. Jackson in Loaded Weapon 1? Wow. I guess it's pre. Anything goes with him pre Pulp Fiction. Like, I'll be watching a movie, something like, oh my god, that's like Samuel L. Jackson's in Coming to America. He's the guy who holds up the McDowells. And I agree with Faster Blade. The first Police Academy still holds up. Not so much any of the sequels, but the first Police Academy is still funny. It's still good. It's the best. I think it's the best movie of that kind. The only problem I have with Police Academy is I don't know any Police Academy in the world that puts you up like where you stay at the actual academy, like where you bunk there and dorm there. I mean, most police academies are local, and you go there, like you drive there from your home. Like that's the only police academy I've ever heard of where you actually live on the premises of the police academy, and that's a little. If you can get past that logic, it's great. But yeah, the first police academy, and then they all have a steady decline. The second one's pretty good. The second one's pretty good with reservations. Third one's pretty terrible, and then so on and so forth. It falls apart. Really, what police academies do you have to stay? Is it a Canadian thing? Because I know Police Academy was filmed in Canada. Is that how Canadians handle their police academies, where you have to live there? It's definitely not the way it works in New York. Really, what states? I'd love to know what states in the United States have police academies where you actually live there on premises. That'd be interesting to look up. Yeah, that's how it is here too. Yagu Chan says Police Academy in my town is a local community college. It's kind of like that here too. I never saw the Police Academy cartoon, but I've always wanted to because it's considered canon. Like they have a lot of this voice actors that were in it, and it was written by some of the same people. It's one of those things, though. And I think I've mentioned this too. Is how it's weird how rated R properties all of a sudden get dumbed down to like children's cartoons. Like they had a Rambo cartoon, and Rambo's a rated R movie, but now you're basically marketing it to kids. And Police Academy, like the first Police Academy movie, is hard R. There's like drug use, there's nudity, there's adult situations, there's cursing, there's a lot of like hard R stuff in it. Then Police Academy 2, PG-13, you get boobs in there, and some cursing and stuff, and then by 3 it's all PG, very dumbed down for kids. And then by the 90s they had a cartoon. But what I always find it weird is if you're going to introduce kids to these, aren't the kids going to see where this came from and go back to see the first movie, and then they're seeing all that bad stuff. I mean, I saw Police Academy when I was like 10, and I think I was old enough to not be scarred by it or anything, but I remember seeing the Rambo cartoon, but I can't remember it for the life of me. Yeah, let me know, Chaz. Let me know about your friend telling you about the Police Academy thing, because that'll make me feel better about Police Academy. Yeah, I was too. Astor Money says I was raised on 80s R-rated movies. Me too. That's how I saw boobs. That's how it was just, and I wasn't allowed to see them. So that made me want to seek them out even more. Like I'd go to like anytime I slept over at a friend's house, we'd watch like slasher movies, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, or like we'd have like double triple features. It would start out with like a rated R comedy like Bachelor Party, which to me was like watching porn. It was like watching a dirty movie at the time. So that and or Revenge of the Nerds, which came up today. I don't know why. I personally love Revenge of the Nerds, the first one. Very similar trajectory as Police Academy. Not as many sequels, but like first movie very good, second movie and then after that the made for TV movies are horrible. New York State Troopers stay in dorms and go home on weekends. What's that movie? Why can't I think of it now? About the upstate New York State Troopers movie, Super Troopers. Super Troopers is a good movie. Super Troopers is very funny. Of that ilk, of that Police Academy type ilk. Even though they're not really in an academy, they're already seasoned, but still kind of the same vibe. First movie I ever saw as a kid was Scream on VHS. Got at a flea market. But I gotta say, I got a lot of opinions. I never liked Scream, and I don't like what Scream did for horror movies in general. But that's a whole thing. Oh, Super Troopers is in Maine. Okay, I thought it was. I knew it was upstate. I knew it was north somewhere. I thought it was like way upstate New York. Okay. And I saw the Super Troopers sequel, the one that came out a couple of years ago. Not so good. Not so good. But the first one still, I think I saw it again recent. Not when I say recently, I mean like the past 3 or 4 years, like on cable or something like that. And I caught a good portion of it, and it still held up. I was cool. Oh, Vermont. Okay, same shit. Club Dread was okay too. I liked Club Dread. Wait, how many sequels were there to Super Trooper? There's just one, right? There's just one sequel, right? Oh, you're talking about Scream. You know what I think? Here's what I don't like about Scream. First movie, I mean, it's fine for what it is. It's just not my style. But every horror movie that came out after that movie tried to emulate its success. And I guess that's just the way horror movies are. One movie comes out, and then there's 1,000 carbon copies. Like Halloween comes out, John Carpenter's Halloween. And then within a year, you have Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th, and, all these. There's such a there's borderline plagiarism that goes on with the horror genre, whereas like one movie comes out as groundbreaking and then everybody else tries to do that. And the thing I didn't like about Scream is like all of a sudden you got these weak, that's a Wes Craven movie, so it's on a certain level, and then you have all these other movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer and bullshit like that, where it's the same like kids in movies trying to be smart alecky and self-aware in the movie, and it just doesn't work as well when you don't have that kind of talented writing. But I really didn't like is it translated over into Halloween, which is a franchise I really like, and that Halloween H2O is kind of born out of the popularity of Scream. Even the poster looks identical to the Scream poster, and again they had like very similar cast outside of Jamie Lee Curtis that is doing like Scream-esque stuff and conversations, like they're trying to get Tarantino-y in the dialogue. It just doesn't work, and I just didn't like it. And then I think in the early 2000s, Saw came out, and then you had a million, and then it went every horror movie was the torture genre, so it all comes back, I guess. But I like horror movie. Like that's why I like Joe Bob Briggs and like Shudder and stuff. I like a good mindless horror, but my taste in horror is kind of all over the place. I like gothic horror. I like old school horror. I like the old Universal movies. I'm not so much into the um, like the what are those? Why can't I think of the studio now? The British those British horror movies where what's his name is Dracula and Grand Moff Tarkin is in them. I'm not so much into those. Not canon. I can't. Hammer. The Hammer films. I can't. I'm not big into the Hammer films. Uh, Astral Orphan says Alien is greater than Aliens. I totally respect that and I disagree. I'll take Aliens, or I enjoy Aliens more as a film, but Alien is a true horror film. They're two different types of movies. Alien's a true horror movie. Alien's a slasher movie in space. It's fantastic. It's hard to compare the two movies. I as a movie, I enjoy Aliens more, but I totally get why you say that. Didn't Michael Myers kill Busta Rhymes? I think that was in the one after that, and I've never seen it. Halloween Resurrection, I think it was. That was the movie that killed the franchise. That was just so bad. Uh, Maybe there's some Hammer movies that are good. I've seen some that are okay, like some of the smaller ones, but I was just never into that. I was just never into them. Uh, and I've watched quite a bit. Bill Paxton is horrible in Aliens. Oh my god, how can you say that? I get what I maybe because he overdoes it a little bit. I had a friend. I still have a friend. He moved away. I don't see him as much anymore. And we had this other friend that was really big into Halloween. I'm not big into Halloween, like as an adult, like not the movie, like the holiday. But maybe about 15, 10, 12 years ago. So we went to this party, and his wife is Spanish, and he went to the party as Bill Paxton from from Aliens, and his wife went as Vasquez. The I forget the actress who plays her, but she's not Spanish. And they did it perfect. They looked like she actually cut her hair, and they had the uniform. They had the Marine uniform, and he was in character the whole night. He actually looks like Bill Paxton. He looks like a slim, skinny Bill Paxton, but they killed the party. It was perfect. It was one of those things where I would never go that far for a costume, but it was fantastic. So I have a soft spot for Bill Paxton and Aliens. Tom, can you get Perry to review the Corn Dog Man on Patreon someday? I want Perry's take on that. What is the Corn Dog Man? I don't know it. That's interesting. TXP 200. Matt Damon was on Hot Ones recently and talked about the loss of DVD sales has changed film. How? I don't disagree with that. I wonder how it's changed. The Thing is probably my top horror. Hard to argue with The Thing. The Thing is so good. Thing is so good. I had a chance to see The Thing in the theater about 2 years ago, and for whatever reason I couldn't go. I think it was a work thing, or I had to be up early the next day. It was something like that, and I didn't go, and I regretted it tremendously. I would have liked to have seen that in a theater. Fashion's favorite franchise: Alien, Mad Max, and Evil Dead. Like original Mad Max, right? Like Mel Gibson Mad Max. I don't love the Mad Max remake. Candyman is being remade. Yeah, I saw that, and that's another underrated movie. Candyman. Candyman's really good. The original Candyman is very good. I forgot about There's a Thing remake. I haven't seen that. I won't see that. Tracy, are you gonna defend Escape from L.A.? Oh my god, Escape from L.A. is one of the worst movies I ever saw in a theater. I hated Escape from L.A. I won't say I love Escape from New York. I like Escape from New York a lot. Escape from L.A. is horrible. Event Horizon is a good movie. Funky Joe almost scared me out of the theater when I was 14. They say there's supposed to be this really extended cut of Event Horizon, which is much darker, scarier, and adds a lot to the story. And the like the original cut of it's supposed to be like not incredible, but it's supposed to be like really creepy. But apparently they chopped up the theatrical version, which is the version everyone's seen, is supposed to be like a very watered down version of that, and they lost. They don't have the original film. They don't. All of the extra stuff that was cut out, like is lost or destroyed, which is hard to believe. But when the studio asked I think it was at Paul W.S. Anderson or something like that, because there's Paul Thomas Anderson and whatever this other guy. Anyway, so it's like, yeah. So apparently there's this. I don't know if it's on VHS or something like that or a bootleg, but apparently I remember always reading about it. There's this really dark version of Event Horizon, which will probably sadly never see the light of day. But I like Event Horizon. I like the concept of Event Horizon. I think it looks great. I think it feels great. I think it's missing character and story stuff, but maybe the longer version would be the way to go, if that's ever possible. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Microwave Brigade says supposedly all the Event Horizon footage was lost, stored in some salt mine somewhere in Europe. Yeah, I've heard mixed things. I've heard it was. I heard it was destroyed or lost or whatever. Crazy. It's crazy that happens. Even like what drives me crazy. Even if you look at some of the horror movies of the '80s, like the Friday the 13th movies, and we know what they are. They're fast food movies. They're garbage, but entertaining garbage. And there's a lot of cuts that were made to the movie because of the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, like made them cut. And there's a lot of cool stuff that, what do you watch those movies for? You watch them for the Jason kills, and I think parts 2, 5, 7 especially, they all had cuts, but some of them were so severe that they really ruin the movie. Or not the movie, but like the intent of the effectiveness of the kills. Like they had some really talented people showing like blood spurt out of somebody's ears, or like Jason knocking somebody against a tree, and they cut in a certain way. And nowadays, obviously, the home video market is where you put, okay, here's the unrated version, because fuck the MPAA, you only need them to distribute the movie. Not distribute the movie, but you only need their label for theatrical distribution. Once you go to home video, who gives a fuck what the MPAA says? You can release an unrated cut, but they weren't saving things, so they would literally destroy the footage. So when they were cut down, like if somebody says, "Oh, the MPAA gave notes," like, "Oh, you can't have Jason shove a machete through this person. You can't show this. You have to cut it." So they literally cut it out of the film and discard the footage, like literally throw it away, because they had no wherewithal to think that would ever make it into any kind of a version, which drives me crazy. Like sometimes you'll see on YouTube and a part of a deck, like they'll have a VHS work print or something like that, but the actual film elements themselves are gone, which is terrible. Manny says, on the next TomB week, you should find a friend who has a Kia. I do have a friend who has a Kia. Garrett has a Kia. It's a really nice one. I was actually asking him about it today because I haven't had a car since December, and eventually I got to get a car. And I was actually looking at Kias, even though Perry's put such a blight on them. Tell Perry you're also too drunk to drive and want to go somewhere, like to the store, and take pictures of him driving so he can never live it down. That's very possible. Did I ever see the Nick Cage version of Color Out of Space? No, I've never heard of it. Oh, okay. On YouTube, Minty goes over that exact thing. That's why Part 3 has very fast cuts right after the kills. Yeah, they all do. It's funny. You can't watch Friday the 13th movies now and watch the kills. Like they're always like choppy edits, and it's all because of the MPAA thing. Yeah, and it's funny. It doesn't know. It says I remember this when I was in like grammar school. There was all this talk of the RoboCop. RoboCop was originally rated X, which has this moniker to it, but yeah, because of the violence and stuff. And you could see the unrated version. It's not that bad. The theatrical RoboCop is still good, but yeah, and I agree. Astral says Tom Savini was a genius practical effects. I've heard he's a really nasty person, but who cares? Yeah, I think he's super talented, and it sucks. Like people put work into those kills, to make them look good, and then you have you. I mean, it's really the bread and butter of those movies, and then they're all cut out. It's terrible. I've heard that Logan Prodigy says Nick Cage has a new movie out called Pig. Good reviews. I've heard Pig is pretty good. Is good. It's nice to see him in a decent movie again. I haven't seen it. I'd like to see it eventually. I'm not going to get to the theater to see it. I'm not seeing. I'm seeing Star Trek 4 is playing. It's like the 35th anniversary. It was weird. I just was looking through what movies are coming out, and it was listed. It's playing like in a couple of weeks, like on a Thursday, maybe a week from this coming Thursday. It's playing. So I want to see that. I'll see that in the theater, but I haven't been to the theater since December, and when the last time I went, I saw Die Hard. Die Hard was playing like right around Christmas time. That's the last time I was in a theater. Pig is good, not great. Yeah, I'm not expecting Pig to be great. The problem with that is I think Nicolas Cage has done so many bad movies that the fact that he's in a movie that isn't terrible, people are giving it like all these accolades, and then somebody like me goes into it expecting a great thing, and it's just yeah. By the way, Tracy, I'm catching up on Tracy. Don't go back to your corner because I said something bad about Escape from L.A. If you like Escape from L.A., that's fine. I just it's one of those 90s movies too. It's like early, like mid 90s, where like if you look at movies like especially horror movies and like cheaper sci-fi movies or even cheaper action movies in the mid 90s start because the floodgates got open with CGI after Jurassic Park, and there's a lot of like movies that clearly didn't have a big budget that started using CGI, and it looks worse than a video game now. It looks worse than like a Wii video game from like 2006 or something like that. Like there's CGI in Escape from LA in particular that is ungodly. Like when Snake is surfing with Steve Buscemi, it takes you right out of the movie. It's just it's horrible. You can't watch it. It's just I mean, you'd almost want to spend money to redo it now, because anybody here, by the way, we can take a course in like watch a couple of YouTube videos on how to make CGI and do a better job than is in the actual movie from like whatever 1996. It's just 90s movies, mid to late 90s movies are plagued with bad CGI. It's hard to watch. Oh, In the Mouth of Madness is really good too. I only saw that one time. I forget about it. Man. That's a really good movie too. What's the one? Shit, I forget. It's like the haunted house movie, the one with Tony Shalhoub. I don't remember much about it, but that was actually a pretty good movie. Tony Shalhoub. I forget who else is in it. I don't remember all the beats of it, but I remember seeing that. That was really good. Why can't I think of the name of that? 13 Ghosts. Thank you. 13 Ghosts is pretty good. Yeah, 13 Ghosts. I haven't seen that in a long time, but maybe my memory's wrong. But what's the consensus on that movie? Because I really liked it. I thought it was creative. Actually, I'll watch Top Gun in the theater. Yeah, I'm so there for Top Gun Maverick. I'm hoping for good things in that. Um, yeah, I'll be there opening. Well, not opening night because it'll be a Friday, but opening weekend. Tony's my. I love. By the way, I love Tony Shalhoub. I was obsessed with. I loved him on Wings. I loved the show Monk. Is one of my all-time favorite. Monk is like, and I'm a big Columbo fan too. I like a good I like a good quirky detective procedural show. Monk's about as good as it gets. Tony Shalhoub is so goddamn talented. So yeah, I'm with you. I love Tony Shalhoub. Never seen Top Gun. I think it's tough to see Top Gun now because it's so entrenched in the '80s. It was such a big movie when it came out. Um, Hard to see. Hard to maybe if you've never seen it. Like watching it now with like modern eyes, it probably comes off as like a cheesy music video. The romance in Top Gun doesn't really work with Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis. Doesn't work, but there's a lot of things that does. The plane stuff is great in Top Gun. It's worth it for that. Try to watch it on a good sound system if you can. But yeah, it'd be worth it because I'm excited for the. I'm excited for the new movie. No, I didn't know that. Michael Richards was considered for Tony Shalhoub's role on Wings. Wasn't he doing Seinfeld at the time? That's interesting. Or maybe did they come out around the same time, Wings and Seinfeld? Maybe my timeline's off. I thought Wings came out early '9. Maybe Wings came out. Wings was one of those shows that lasted a long time, and it wasn't. Let's say it wasn't like a Cheers or a Seinfeld where it was like a hit. But it's like one of those things. It always managed to be on the schedule, and I always liked it. I think Wings is a good show, and I think it still holds up. But Tony Shalhoub is one of those guys where if he's in something, I'll give it a chance because he's in it. I like I like him. He's very talented. But if I had to pick my favorite Tony Shalhoub vehicle, it would be Monk. And I'll still watch it if it comes up. Like if it's on, I'll watch it. I've seen every episode. Shocked I haven't seen Corn Dog Man. Yeah, I saw the Shut Up Little Man. And if I'm into two-bar tapes, go to Corn Dog Man. All right, I'll write it down. Yeah, once in a while I miss out on things. Where's my pad? I'll check it out. Let's see. Corn Dog Man. All right, I'll write it down. Oh, for the role of Monk. Okay, that I can see. Yeah, Michael, because wasn't Michael Richards? That makes sense. I could almost see Michael Richards as Monk. He would not have been as good. He would not have been as good as Tony Shalhoub because Tony Shalhoub brings so much humanity to the table. Like Tony Shalhoub's so good. Like he could play dramatic, he could play quirky, funny, but there's times like even on Monk, like where he had to play like emotional or like I don't see Michael Richards having that range that Tony Shalhoub does. But there was a very short, I think it was called The Michael Richards Show, a very short-lived NBC post-Seinfeld show where he played a detective, and it was okay. I remember watching at least the first episode, but I think as the show went on, and I maybe there's 8 episodes in total, I think NBC just wanted the Kramer show, and they tried to Kramer up his character to the point where like towards the end of the run, and again, it was a very limited run. I think he was basically playing Kramer, but the original intention of the show seemed good. Like, he was a private detective. Michael Richards was, who like spied on people and stuff, and and like tripped and was goofy, but it just got a little too Kramerish. Love you too. It doesn't done. I'm still working on your Jameson, by the way, that you sent me back in June. Thank you for that. I'm gonna wrap it up too myself. Um, did he turn? Did okay? So did Michael Richards turn down Monk, or was okay? So Tony Shalhoub was the second choice. It's crazy to think that, because if you haven't seen the show Monk, I mean, do yourself a favor and watch. It's just it's one of those shows. It wasn't like always my favorite show at the time, because at the time, like The Sopranos was on, or like other things were like the event shows, but Monk was always like my comfort show that I would watch, and just I didn't take it too seriously, but I loved that it was there, and I always enjoyed it, and I get those same warm feelings, if to borrow a Perry phrase, if I watch it now. When it comes on now, I just think of, like, there was a time where I watched it. I had gone through a really bad breakup, and the new season of Monk was just starting, and it just made me happy that it was back or whatever, and it got, in a weird way, it got me through that time where it made me happy. It was more like so I call it like a happy show, where I was just like, whatever was going on, it just made me happy that it was on. And it very rare. They were all the episodes were good. They were all good, and they were all like, there was some that are better than others, but there weren't too many duds. For procedural police murder of the week type shit. If you're into that, you got to be into it. Because I'll still watch Columbo today. There's still some Columbos I haven't seen. A lot of ones from the '90s when they revived, I didn't. And they're not, and the ones from the '90s are not as good as the ones from the '70s, of course. But I still like to be a completist. I always wanted to see a Monk Columbo crossover, because there was a small window where there was still Peter Falk was really old when he was still doing Columbo. Like there was a period where they were still pushing out Columbo movies every now and again, and Monk was I was like, oh, that would be cool if they did a crossover movie. I dropped off. The original lady left, and the two guys in the girl. I get what you're saying. I didn't love the what was her name? The replacement girl. The original girl. I forget the actress's name. Biddy Schramm or something like that. She had a very funny name, but her character was much better with Monk than Trail or whatever. The chick from Dirty Work. She was the girl in Dirty Work. Was the replacement. I didn't like her as much, but the show was still good. But yeah, I agree with you. The original. I think I remember reading she was a real problem. The original actress. She like nobody could stand her on the set. Like she would make like change it. She wanted changes to the script and all kind of thing, and she, whatever. I liked her because she would give Monk shit, and she wouldn't put up with his nonsense. Okay, so Hannah disagrees. I liked her because she wasn't. The second girl was very not as. I forget what was the character's name of the second girl. I don't know why I can't think of it, but she wanted more pay. That makes sense. She was too like babyish, and then I think they had a very good episode though in the final season where the original girl came back, and she was at odds with the other girl, and they basically made that part of the story where you're too nice. You're too nice to Monk, and you're too hard on him. And like the second girl called him Mr. Monk. First girl called him Adrian, like his first name. So I like that dynamic. It was good. It was good. Not a great final episode. Natalie, thank you, Natalie. Very good, Natalie. Did you look that up or did you know it? Yeah, Natalie. By the way, fine. Like I didn't think it was terrible. There's some cast replacements that just make the show unwatchable. Show is still good. You're there for Tony Shalhoub. He's still the star. He's the star. But she was too doting. She was too like. I would have liked to have seen Natalie have a little bit more attitude and not take some of his shit. That's my only critique. The way the character was written. But still, great show. Great show. Oh, you know what the other thing is with Monk, and I forget, and it's all coming back to me now, just talking about it. The how they changed the theme song after the first season. The first season had that great theme, which was like the theme song of the Monk, and then when they did that stupid, what's the guy's name? The guy, I can't think of his name. The song, they changed the intro for a second season on. Oh yeah, by the way, that John Turturro episode, Mr. Monk and the Three Pies. I even know the name of the episode. By far, in a way, the best episode of that show. The first John Turturro episode, where John Turturro plays like a agoraphobe, basically. And Monk comes off as like the normal one. Great, absolutely great. That's by far the best. If you're gonna see any episode of Monk, watch the one with John Turturro. I think he won an Emmy for it. Actually, he was so good in it, perfect in it, really good. I think his job was he wrote, which I thought was very good writing. He wrote manuals for like appliances. Like that was his job. Ambrose was his name. It's a great episode. In fact, talking about it now makes me want to watch it right now. It's that good. It's really fun. Was he on? Did John Turturro? How many times was he on the show? Did he come back more than once? Did I see that Brendan Fraser is going to start a movie? Yeah, I did. I don't know what the details are about Brendan Fraser, but everybody loves a comeback, or most people like a comeback. So I hope he does well. He got unnecessarily shit on in Hollywood, but so yeah, I don't know what the details are, but very strange guy, Brendan Fraser. But we're all strange here. Encino Man 2, maybe. Yeah, I forget. I saw that headline. I didn't. It's one of those things. I saw the headline but didn't read the article. Like Brendan Fraser is back and doing something. I don't know. I don't even know what it's for. What studio, or if it's like a theatrical movie, or if it's something that's for Netflix or something. But good for him. I never saw Monkey Bone. What's the last Brendan Fraser movie I saw? Maybe it was The Mummy. I didn't see even the sequel. Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah. I'm gonna say something controversial. I like School Ties more than I like Dead Poet Society. I hated Dead Poet Society. I thought it was overrated. I liked School Ties. Early Matt Damon in School Ties. Tom, write down Wake in Fright. All right, well, what is it? What is it? I'm writing it down as I speak. Tracy says she's tripping balls. Can't drink coffee fast enough. That's a good way to start the day. Hmm. By the way, I'm working on getting a camera for this. After once I get everything situated, I know this is such a, or just get a different background than this fucking car. I know I know most people aren't watching it at this point. They probably just have it half an ear to it. But I'm gonna get something something different. I was trying to think too of another. Hmm. There was another Tony Shalhoub thing I really liked. Not the one, not the fabulous Miss Maisel thing. I never saw that. It's not my cup of tea. But there was another Tony Shalhoub thing, other than not Wings and not Monk, that I really liked. See, it's funny. I know. Uh, yeah, Faster Blade. I was waiting for four exactly. I was. It's a good call. Um, there's that show on USA because Monk was on USA, and there was also that show on USA called Psych, which I never saw, but whatever. And I know they've done some movies like so like reunion movies. It's like I think it's time to bring back like just do a couple of like Monk movies for TV. I think that would play really well. Like I don't know if ever there's any interest or whatever, but I'd like to see that. I think you could easily do it. Yeah, he's in Men in Black. That's not what I was thinking of. I don't, and by the way, I don't like Men in Black. I'm not a fan of Men in Black at all. I fell asleep during Men in Black when I saw it in the theater. Didn't like it. Yeah, he did that movie about being a chef. That's not the one I'm thinking of, though. It's another Tony Shalhoub. I don't know why my brain is fried. Well, I know why. It's because it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I know people that like Psych too. Like my mom watched Psych as well. I never got into it. Yeah, I could. I don't like. I'm not turned off by Psych. It's just one of those things. Like, I was already into Monk, and I just couldn't get into it. But me, yeah, me. I mean, I would. By the way, I would watch Psych, but more than basically any new TV show out now. The only Men in Black that I mean, what are there, three of them? I didn't like the first one. I didn't like the second one. I hated the second one. The third one, where what's his place? Josh Brolin plays young Tommy Lee Jones, where they go back in time. That one was kind of okay. I didn't mind the third one, but I didn't like the other ones. Yeah, he did a 3 Men and a Baby type. Yeah, it wasn't that though. Fuck, I might have to take it to IMDb. I hate doing that. I feel like it's cheating. But it's nice. It's nice to hear from people that love Tony Shalhoub because he's one of those guys that doesn't get enough. I mean, he gets attention, but like you don't really hear people talk about how much they love like Tony Shalhoub. Sorry, Galaxy Quest. He's great in Galaxy Quest. It's not a show. Can't believe I couldn't think of it. Galaxy Quest. He's fantastic in Galaxy Quest. Everybody's great in Galaxy Quest, but he's really good in it. Um, you know what Tony Shalhoub's really good in? It's a small part. He's good in the Bill Murray movie, Quick Change, where Bill Murray plays the clown that robbed the bank. And Tony Shalhoub has a small part in that as a cab driver. That's really good. No, Dusty, I don't like the first Men in Black. You know what it is? Who's the director of that? The guy who did the Addams Family movie. I just can't get into him. Couldn't get into it. It's okay. It's not terrible. I'm not saying it's terrible. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. And I aggressively didn't like Men in Black 2. I didn't even see it in the theater. I think I saw it when it came on like DVD or something like that, and I hated it. Yeah, I've heard that too. I heard they're doing a Galaxy Quest show, but how are you going to do that now? I would have loved to have seen enough. I would have liked to have seen a Galaxy Quest trilogy, but without Alan Rickman, how are you doing that? I just don't think. Yeah, we talked about 13 Ghosts a little bit earlier. 13 Ghosts is good. I have a very thin memory of it, but my memory of it is that it was good and that I liked it. No, Tim Burton didn't direct Men in Black. It feels like a Tim Burton movie. What's the guy's name? He did the Addams Family, the one with Raul Julia. Um, Man, I'm usually like right on top of this shit. I gotta look it up. Sorry, I gotta cheat. Barry Sonnenfeld. Barry Sonnenfeld. He directed Men in Black. Who's kind of like he's kind of like Tim Burton light, and I don't even like Tim Burton that much outside of Pee Wee's Big Adventure and Ed Wood. I could take or leave Tim Burton. I don't know if he did all three, but he definitely did the first two movies. Yeah, Tim Burton did Mars Attacks, which is eh. What was the name of the movie? What was the name of the movie in Dirty Work? Like it was that movie's so stupid, but like in Dirty Work, Norm gets a job at a movie theater that Don Rickles is the manager of, and Norm is hired to get revenge on the manager, and they're showing a movie, whatever it is, to like the head honchos are coming to the theater, and they cut in a gay porno to it, and it was like men. The name of the movie was like Men in Black Who Like to Have Sex or something like that. That was I don't know when we just think of that, but it was like that stupid scene where they cut back when movie. I don't think you could pull that prank today, of course, because it's all digital. But back when movies were showing film, they were in the theater in the projector room, and they like cut the movie, and you could hear it. They don't show the movie. It's like you could hear the dialect from it. It's so stupid and so juvenile. But I remember it makes me laugh now thinking about it. So I guess it's pretty funny. But that's the Men in Black that I think of more than the actual Men in Black. I just yeah I think I fell asleep. I think I tried to watch the movie 3 times. All 3 times I fell asleep. Saw it in the theater, fell asleep. And it's hard to fall asleep in a movie theater. I fell asleep and then woke up and went back to sleep. Tried to stay up. Saw it later on DVD or something. Fell asleep. And then maybe the third time was on HBO or something like that. And then I wished I was asleep. And then yeah, saw the second movie, hated it, and then saw the third movie. Like I think I saw it on a plane. Like that's how little I thought of it, but I ended up really liking it. Yeah, okay. Sonnenfeld directed first. All 3 Men in Blacks. Also Get Shorty, which is okay, and Wild Wild West, which is atrocious. So yeah, bad track record. First, I'll tell you what. Not the first. The second Addams Family movie is very good. It's one of the rare sequels that's better than the original. The second Addams Family movie that came out in Addams Family Values, I think it was called, came out in '93. That's probably his best movie. Oh, I say Dirty Work, and you're thinking no, I don't mean the Men at Work. I meant Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang, and the girl from Monk is in it. She plays the love interest, Trailer Howard or whatever her name is. Yeah, I can see how you get confused with that. That'd be a little too rough for Men at Work in that time. I don't know if they would go that far. Still haven't seen Men at Work. I don't. I think I missed the train on Men at Work. I don't think if you haven't seen it by now, I don't think you're gonna see it. Yeah, I do remember that. By the way, when Eric the Midget said that said that Get Shorty was his favorite movie. Yes, yeah. Or there was some kind of joke revolved around that. I have this huge. I just found it actually. I was going through old hard drives, looking for stuff, and Microwave Brigade. Good night. I got literally 2 minutes left. It's 2 minutes before 4. So thank you for hanging out. I was going through old hard drives and I found the Eric the Actor compilation, which is like pretty much every single call he ever did to the show in chronological order, and it just made me like, oh, I can't, I want to listen to some of that again. I think they joke. I remember Get Shorty coming up to him. I don't know if Artie said it or something like that. Like oh, your favorite movies are Get Shorty or something like that. And he had some really like indignant response. God, he was so good. I still gotta watch that. I started watching that YouTube of Elliot Offen from the other night, but I couldn't hang with it. It seemed a little too. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. I want like Elliot to do like an actual. I want actually Elliot Offen to do what Perry does, like a Perry Caravello. What Perry does, what we do, Perry, what all of us do. You and me and everybody in here do more than Perry, but a similar like to Perry Caravello Live, where he sits there and talks or maybe interacts with people. Because it would be funny if he got like a tip comment like, Elliot, I heard, like the TTS lady. It's like, Elliot, I heard that you were broke 2 years ago and you stole this. He's like, let me tell you something, hemophiliac victim. And just go off on the tip commenter. Like that could be good. I would spend money on that. I would watch that. I would send him $5 tips just to hear him go off on me. Or call him, or talk about gangster style and stuff like that. From the looks of what I saw, it was just like just weirdo stuff. He doesn't know how to market himself. He needs a me. To be quite honest, to do a stream. He needs like a handler, somebody like talk sense. Like this is why you're interesting to people. Oh, the older ones are better with the old co-hosts. Yeah, maybe I'll look at those. From what I saw, I just looked. I wasn't into it, which is too bad. Yeah, just call people cunt face. If you don't know who Elliot Offen is, look him up on YouTube. He's amazing. Yeah, I think I got my hands full with Perry, but I'm tempted to contact Elliot and be like, hey, here's my resume. Let's do something. He has potential because I think there's people that want to see him. He's so unstable though. He's legit scary. I've heard people that actually like had real life encounters with him. He's not like Perry. He's very. You don't want to get too close to him. But there's a way for him to work on YouTube or even on Twitch, and I just don't think he's doing it right. Or even just telling the stories about where he would rip people off. Like there was some of my favorite Stern episodes is when. Like Elliot first came on the Stern show and he was just talking about, he had this like little pamphlet of him exercise book on how to lose weight and how he does intense running and a negligee, and he was this weird character. But then it came out that his last name is Offen, not often, Offen. I think it's Offen, but don't nail me to the spelling. But if you look up Elegant Elliot Offen Howard Stern, you're going to come up in a YouTube utopia of craziness. It is so interesting. But anyway, there was a switch that flipped with him, which was so interesting, where it came out that this guy was a con artist at one point, and he came into the show one day, he's like, that he was going to tell you all about his past. And he switched the light because he was this like weird like meek guy that would come in the show, and it was interesting too. It was funny, but when he came in as like the gangster like Elliot, like when he would do the whole thing, he was like, "That's underworld talk." He's like, still, I guess I said a couple of times. I have one friend and I in our shorthand talking to each other is we talk in Elliot off in gangster language, and I'll say like, "That's 2 dimes. That's gangster talk for whatever," and. So anyway, and there was one episode I remember where an FBI agent actually called in that was on to Elliot Offen's scam. So I guess he would be like, if you ever saw the movie, what was that movie with John Cusack and Angelica Houston? Was it The Grifters, where they do like elaborate setups for people to like grift them out of money? Like that's what Elliot Offen was. Like I think like in the 80s and 90s he would like rip people off, and I guess he went to jail or something like that, or went to prison, and he had all these stories. So long story short, I would like to see him on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, just talking about his past, about his like gangster stuff. That would be interesting to me, because you don't need. I mean, Howard's done at this point. You don't need Howard to bring out. I used to mistakenly think that you needed Howard Stern to bring out the best in those people, and to a certain extent, it would be true. Eric the actor on his own wasn't that good, but if you find the right vehicle for them, or if Elliot could get the right co-host that can get that stuff out of him, it'd be very engaging. I would watch it. Beef stew, that was another one. Yeah, American Greed. I've not watched it, but I've heard enough about it where I know I'd be into it. Grifter stuff. Yeah, I love grifter stories. I love con artist stories. Like just yeah. So that's what he did, and he had a lot of stories, and he had weird things. Like I don't know how he can't even, like, because he still lives in Manhattan. He lives on like the upper shit. I think he lives on the Upper East Side, or because I've seen him running around at certain points in the city, like, and every now and again you'd get an Elliot Offen sighting. How does he afford to live? Like, what does he do? Like, where does he get his money from? Yeah, and Bad Branson says Howard won't even touch the people who made him entertaining, and it's like they don't even exist. It's fine. Yeah, like Gilbert Gottfried's a prime example of that. Gilbert, who made that show hysterical, the best guest he ever had, and I've said it before. One of the things where I was out the door as a fan was Howard's, what was it, his 60th birthday, the one that was hosted by Jimmy Kimmel, and it was all A-listers. It was vomit inducing. Gilbert wasn't a part of it at all. I think he was sitting up in the rafters with the Whack Pack. How disrespectful can you get to like one of the guys that helped make your show? Disgusting. Elliot was brilliant. He got out of jail for being the biggest con artist in the history of New York. They never get money back, and he gets out on technicalities, and then uses Howard Stern to launder the money through fake sales of his diets and videos. Yeah, exactly. That's a whole other aspect. Like, remember, like, what was that video he was selling? Like, Violet dehumanizes Elliot or something like that. I think I had that on DVD at one point. It's just terrible. But yeah, you got to give him credit, man. You got to give Elliot credit. Like, I have nothing but respect. Honestly, truly, I have nothing but respect for him. But yeah, he was on Grillo's Aftershock. He transitioned, and some guy takes care of him. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, yeah. I love that Howard went to. I was out of my mind back then. I was out of my mind back then. Shows evolved. Oh my god, I can't believe I was out of. Like, he talks about anything funny that ever happened on the show. Oh, I was out of my mind back then. I was crazy. Yeah, the things that made everybody fall in love with the show and worship the show. That you're out of your mind. Yeah. But I've said that before. Kimmel, Jimmy Kimmel. Nothing against Jimmy Kimmel, but he ruined Howard. I think he ruined Howard, ruined him, or helped escalate his ruinization by those parties he threw for him, and kind of showed Howard what he could have. That quote unquote friendship he had with Jimmy Kimmel ruined him, and was the beginning of the end. No, he was at the birthday party, Chaz, because Gilbert actually talked about it. I think on his podcast, or not with on the podcast. I think he talked about it with Artie Lang, and he said, yeah, he just had a regular, like, he thought he was going to be a part of the show, and he had like a regular seat on like a side balcony, and he was basically seated next to a high pitch Eric. Like, that's what they thought about him. How fucking insulting is that? And I know I saw that Howard took the whole summer off, and guess who else does that? Jimmy Kimmel does that. So Jimmy Kimmel takes the whole summer off, and then Howard finally wakes up and is like, oh, I'm going to do that because my buddy Jimmy does it. And Howard, as original as people thought he was, he always borrowed from other people, whether it was fashion or something else. Like in the 80s, he borrowed from Dee Snider. That was his buddy, his neighbor on Long Island. He borrowed his whole look. When he revamped his look with the long rocker hair, he borrowed from Dee Snider. And then when he met Ralph, he borrowed Ralph's style in the early 90s. And he kind of like leeched off people that he admired. He kind of adapted to their sensibilities in a way. And I think Jimmy was always kind of like a star fucker, like as a lot of people are. Like liked being not only liked being friends with A-listers, but liked having them on their show. And you can only imagine the kind of conversations that happened between, Jimmy and Howard on their off time, where it's like, hey, you can get this guy and this guy. And I think when I was still listening, like, Howard was talking about how Jimmy threw some party for Howard, and Howard went out there and was shocked that all these A-list celebrities were like there to see him, and talked about how what big fans they were. And I think that just changed his whole mindset of like, that's what I got to be going for. To me, it was never about what kind of guest he had on. But it sucks. It's a bummer. But you know what? You got to look at the kind of thing like, look how many good years you had of Stern. Stern was great for how many years? It would be almost incredible if the show was still as good now. It would be unbelievable. Like, oh my God, how could this guy be going on for so long and the show's still at this level? Everybody has their expiration date, unfortunately. There's very few bands, very few musicians, very few people that are good consistently. Faster by TomB, I'm actually Stuttering John. I don't know if I told you this. I think I did. I met Stuttering John at the Comedy Store with Perry. John had no idea who Perry was. And Perry was talking to Stuttering John as if he should know who he was. And it was very awkward. I have a picture of Stuttering John with Perry. And John just, John just kind of looked sad. He was just like, he was hanging out, but he clearly wasn't performing. He was just like one of those losers at the Comedy Store that just kind of hangs out, and has like a drinks or whatever, and hoping somebody recognizes them and does something for them. But I don't like Stuttering John's really like, his podcast is awful and unlistenable, but it's good when he bashes Stern. Bad Branson says, really enjoyed the Man Show as a kid and even watched the start of Jimmy Kimmel Live in 2003. Brought on some guy named the Armenian comedian. I just laughed my ass off at how bad the guy was. Wouldn't have to. But that was the thing. Like, early Jimmy Kimmel Live was great for the same reason that early Letterman was great, is that he had people on that were really weird and quirky. Like, he would have people on that were famous on YouTube for like falling downstairs. Like, oh, here's the fat woman that fell downstairs, and she'd be like the first or second guest, because he didn't have those A-listers on, and he was more, I'll say, mean spirited in the delivery and stuff before he got all woke and all that. And I guess everybody's guilty of that in that business, but early Jake, I remember watching it the first season because it was interesting. It was different, and there was an edginess to it, as much of the edginess as you can have at that time. But yeah, that's all lost now. Oh, Chad says, Dominic Barber did a great interview with Radio Gunk, and it's on YouTube, talking about Howard. It's a really good insight. There's a version of the interview edited out with the host annoying cat. Oh, okay. I would listen to that. I can take Radio Gunk in small doses because they get a little annoying to me. But Dominic was always an interesting character, and he was a legit friend of Howard. So I don't know. I can't picture him bad mouthing him as much, but I would listen to that for sure. Yeah, Mama, that's a good call. Jimmy Kimmel Live died with Uncle Frank. It's never been the same with that show. And yeah, and by the way, Sal being gone from that show, that's the final straw because Sal got his own gig, and Sal was by far the best guy on camera because he was a dick, or he like, and he wrote dickish things like I mean that in the best complimentary way possible. He had that like. There's a way to do spirited, and I mean mean spirited comedy. I say that for lack of a better term. There's a better way to put it, but edgy comedy where like like Sal going undercover or like pretending to be a restaurant worker and just being a dick to people that come up, and he plays it very well. He's so good at it. He does like that deadpan delivery, really good. And yeah, so Sal not being there too is another huge, you know. Just a brick that's taken away from the foundation. What's the deal with Double A? Didn't Double A, the guy who used to call him, because he disappeared for forever. Didn't he get in trouble with like pedophilia or something like that? Sal. By the way, Hannah. Sal has his own like really successful podcast. I think it's mainly about like sports betting and stuff, but he's really like he got gigs on Fox and stuff to do like pregame stuff for like football and shit. So he does. It's not comedy, unfortunately, but he's still. I haven't listened to too much of it because I'm just not a big enough sports guy. But that's what he's doing. But yeah, Double A. I think Double A was really annoying, but I think he had some kind of like didn't he get arrested or something like that for like underage shit, just really despicable stuff. Yeah, okay, I'm not crazy then because he all of a sudden just disappeared. And Howard like there used to be a point where Howard would explain why people disappeared or like what something happened, and then there was a period of time, probably around the time where KC just all of a sudden disappeared, like he just wasn't talking about it anymore. Like he just stopped talking about it, and it's like, oh, like I guess you're not like why wouldn't he talk about that? Just crazy. Yeah, it's so creepy. I never liked Double A. I thought he was annoying. Double A was caught for trying to have sex with underage girl at child porn. Ugh, well, God. Yeah, because there's some guys that just disappeared. Like what happened to that guy? There was a guy that used to call in all the time. Jeez, in the '90s, King of All something. I can't think of it. And all of a sudden, he just stopped. He just went away. There was disappeared. But yeah, Casey had some kind of like weird gambling addiction, and he went crazy. But he was gone for a long stretch, and then they just never talked about it. They talked about it years later, after the fact, when he came on or something. But it was just weird. Like they wouldn't even bring it up. Well, I guess like Artie too. They don't talk about Artie ever. It's like they don't talk about it after Artie left. But yeah. Anyway. I went past my 4 a.m. quota, but it's yeah, I should get to bed. Not King of All Blacks. It was like King of All Messengers, maybe. Remember that guy? He would call in a lot. He always had clips of Howard. He would find clips of Howard mentioned in other media, and he would play it for him on the air. I think it was King of All Messengers, and his whole thing, his sign off was, "Stay well, I love you." There was this guy, and Howard was like, "Oh, love you," and then the guy just disappeared. I don't know if he whatever, but and there was this guy. This goes back a long time, but there was this guy back when Stern didn't have any screeners. I called into the Stern show. I have tapes of every time I called in, but back in the day, like early '90s, they didn't have phone screeners. Like you just get lucky. The phone would ring if you got through. The phone would just ring and ring and ring and ring, and then maybe Howard would pick up. There was no screener. It'd be like Howard would just pick up, like, you're on the air. which I always preferred. Like no screening, it was just boom, you're on the air. And it was this guy that got on all the time that got under Howard's skin. I used to try to save the tapes of it because I don't hear. I've looked for it. I don't ever hear it on YouTube, but or any place. The guy did was Howard would answer the phone, and the guy would go, "Gotta go, bye," and hang up. And Howard would get infuriated by it. It was like triggering Perry on the tattoo or something. He would just like, "Oh, I hate that guy." He's like, "I hate that guy. Fuck that." He wouldn't say F, but he was like, "F that guy." He's like, "God damn it! What that guy just stay on the phone for hours just to say that?" He's like, "What's the point of that?" You go, and then like the next day, the guy would call in again, and it would just be, and the guy must have stayed on the phone forever, and all he would do, like, "You're on the air," and then he'd wait a beat, and then he'd go, "Gotta go, bye." And hang up, and then Howard would react all over again. He gets so mad at this guy, and I remember laughing my ass off because you very rarely got people that triggered Howard like that. He'd legitimately get mad, and I think that guy might be responsible for them getting screeners, call screeners. They had like interns answer the phones at a certain point. But I've looked for that, and it's like it's an era of the show that's not as well archived because like people didn't tape it, but I just remember it from like hearing it. Like the guy would be on like multiple times during the week, and he would come at the weirdest times too. Like, because Howard would take calls at different points during the week. It would be like, "Hey, all right, let's take some calls." And like one guy is like, because now, by the way, the modern era Stern show going back to the past 15 years, they're all fake stage calls. Like he'd take a call after a guest interview, like, "Boy, Howard, that interview you did with Ben Affleck was so wonderful." Back then it was just like random. And like, "Yeah, Howard, I saw Gary out to dinner, and he put his fingers in the soup," and like, it'd be something stupid like that. And then the next guy would be like, "All right, cool, yeah, bye." And they're like, "All right, hello, you're on the air," and this guy would get on and go like, "Gotta go, bye," and it would trigger him every single time, and it made me laugh so much. Like I would love to find out who that guy was. He was such a troll. And then there was another troll guy that called in much later, who eventually got banned, who would call Howard Imus. And he'd be like, "Hey, Imus, how are you?" And he'd basically be saying that Howard has turned into Imus, which he did. And then that guy was banned from the show. That would be another trigger. Very few like call triggers though, but that guy was great. Yeah, see, Chaz, if you listen since '93, you might have just missed it, because with the era I'm talking is like '90 through maybe 93 is right around the time where they started call screeners, and I remember because it was when right around the time where Private Parts the book came out, which was October '93, and I know because I went to all those book signings when I was a teenager, and it might have stopped by then. So it was early '90s, and I've tried to listen to like once in a while you'll find like an early '90s show. Again, they're not that well archived. There's one guy in I think Philly that had it was called the Howard Stern newsletter. Kevin something. He was friends with Captain Jenks, and he had ads in this newsletter because I would subscribe to the newsletter pre-internet. The Howard Stern newsletter, and you'd get it like once a month, and it would give you like insights to like the show or like an interview with a whack packer or something like that. And then there was a classified section, and this guy had advertised like, "Oh, listen, get full Stern shows on cassette." And what the guy did is he would tape the full show on VHS in like SLP mode and get the whole show, and then make cassette. And then I think Howard shut it down or something like that. Obviously, but I think that guy still probably has all his original cassettes or VHSs, and I would love. I had his email address one time. And I was like, "Hey, you're gonna digitize those because there's this whole era of the Stern show that's just not available, and you can't go by what they play you, on like whatever, because they're gonna edit out certain things. But anyway, the gotta go by guy might be Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. I don't know. I forget his last name. It's been so long now. He had a King of All too. He had a King of All title, King of All tapes maybe. There was so many King of All guys. But anyway, they gotta go. If somebody can Google the gotta go by guy and find one clip of it, I'll be your best friend. Gina Man, that's going back. There was Gina Man and Gina Girl. Yeah, there was so many. Oh man, it was such a great era. It's such a great era. Fuck, why can't I think of that guy's last name? Kevin something. I don't know. I still have some of those old newsletters somewhere. Probably at my parents' in a box somewhere. It's probably in there. But yeah. Anyway, uh, I'll talk to you guys on Sunday. Have a great Saturday, everybody. I'm gonna try to have a day off tomorrow, not do any work. Saturday's like you. Saturday's kind of like it's a weird day for me because I it's hard because I always have to do some kind of Perry stuff, but I'm really gonna try to like go out to eat somewhere and like have a because I had a busy work like regular work week this week, so it was kind of hectic, and then doing the stream stuff with Perry is rough. So I'm gonna everybody out there enjoy your Saturday, and then we'll see you on Sunday. And I know he's gone now, but I wanted to thank a dozen done for that poolside chat offer because I think that brought back I think that redeemed the stream a little bit because he was very not sleepy, but he was mailing it in the last hour, and it was getting under my skin, and I figured I didn't think we'd be doing anything remote tonight, but I think that kind of saved it. And I like somebody sent me a message like I love when Perry tries to contain his screaming when he's outdoors or out at a place publicly, and I got to say that's one of my new favorite things as well when he grits his teeth and he doesn't want to blow up by his pool. Like I really like that. Like you motherfucker, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna shut this thing off right now. It's great. There's a lot of potential there. But good night, guys. Tracy, great to see you again. Glad you're back, and we'll see you on Sunday. By the way, Tracy said to me, "Tracy, I hope I'm not overstepping. I really don't." But Tracy might agree to call Perry, have Perry call her briefly one of these Sundays. No pressure, Tracy. If you don't want to, it's cool. But I thought Tracy might be a good one to maybe convince him to do the tattoo thing. But we'll work on that. We'll workshop it a little bit. But that might happen. I think everybody would love to hear that. And I think Perry would too, because we've never had a real international caller that is from a non-English speaking country, and I think that would be huge. Yeah, it's amazing when Perry tries so hard not to make noise in public when he's pissed and grits his teeth. Yeah, it's my new favorite thing. Not to the point where he's going to turn it off because I do worry about that. But I like it. Yeah, Tracy, don't worry about it. Again, no pressure. There's no pressure here. I'm just sharing that with people that might get excited. Don't feel like don't feel like you have to do this. But it'd be great if you did. No pressure, though. Seriously, no pressure. We don't pressure anybody. All right, guys. Good night. Good night for real. I'll see you later. See you Sunday. Have a great Saturday.